Hi guys, back for another Moonshine video. I'm going to show y'all how to do a wood infusion. I have a 176 proof corn liquor. I already have some in a jar, and I have some lightly toasted, or more of a medium toasted French oak chips. For this process, I prefer the French oak over the American oak because it doesn't have a strong of a woody flavor. You can replicate what happens in a barrel when they age whiskey. You know, it says it's been aged in a barrel for 4 years or whatever. That if you think about how big that barrel is in the whiskey in it, and how long it takes for the whiskey to come in contact for all that to absorb into the whiskey, that's one of the reasons why it takes so many years for that color and flavors. And in the wood, there's sugars, there's tannins, and all of those are desirable that mix with the flavor of the whiskey. And we can, by putting this just an 1/8 cup in here, this will start infusing very fast. There's a lot more surface contact with the wood versus a lot of whiskey in a barrel. And I'm not gonna sit here and make you let this video run for however long it takes, but I'm just gonna come back every 15 minutes and do a little take and show you the difference. And I'm going to get this turned into bourbon, and it's really not a true bourbon. That there's like definitions that make things bourbon or scotch or just whatever, but this really wouldn't fall under it. But I'm kind of imitating that. And then when we're done with that, we will proof it, which is just adding some water, and then we'll add some honey, and we'll have some vanilla bourbon. One of the differences is as you age stuff, it mellows. Like when it first comes out of the still, it definitely has a stronger alcohol bite. I hate to say smooth. Smooth is not a good. I know we all say it, and I just say it sometimes too, but smooth doesn't really describe a taste. You know, when it's high proof and it's freshly distilled, it definitely has an alcohol bite to it, I should say, right? And over time, that kind of mellows. And see there, already you can see some of see how the colors are infusing into it. As it sinks, it's becoming saturated, releasing the wood flavors. Pretty neat. And then when I'm completely done with this infusion, I'll have to filter it once because it gets little fine particles from the wood in it, which aren't really that desirable. You know, no one wants to see a bunch of junk floating around in the bottom of their bottle of whiskey. But I'll be back in a few, and we'll check on this in 15 minutes. Bye. Back again. 15 minutes has went by, and you can see this is already turning pretty brown, amber, I guess we should say. So the alcohol is doing its thing on the wood. If I was to do this at 100 proof, instead of proofing it after I do the infusion, it would take quite a bit longer. The higher the alcohol content, the faster the infusion takes. Let's give it a little sip and see how it tastes. It's starting to taste pretty good. Can definitely taste some of the sugars of the woods coming out. A hint afterwards of some oaky flavor, just a little bit. I'm gonna probably let this go another 5 minutes. You can go too far and it'll taste. It'll have too much of a woody taste, which a lot of people describe as over oaked, and that's just, it's not pleasant. What you can do if you do go a little too far is just letting it sit for a month or two sometimes helps, or you can add some vegetable glycerin. Say like if this was a jar of 100 proof, you wouldn't put very much, maybe like 10-20 milliliters of glycerin in it, and that kind of rounds things out. You can't really taste it, or you can't taste it at all, really, I don't think, but it does. I hinted on or kind of touched on the alcohol bite. This is going to be wood infused. It's not wood aged. Age mellows the whiskey, and that you can kind of force some of that away with the glycerin, but time is the best way to do that, and just whiskey mellows over time. The flavors all meld together, and that's just how that happens. And we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay, back again. As you can see, the wood is doing its stuff. It's starting to get a nice amber color to it, and to me, this just takes a little practice. I had to mess it up a few times before I got it right. At first, I thought it would probably take a long time, and I over oaked it, and it just wasn't very good at all. And I ended up mixing something with that one, which I infused it with blueberries, or I can't remember what. I'm just trying to make an example, or made apple pie out of it or something, and then that kind of takes away some of that over oakiness, and it makes it a lot better. So you can, even if you mess it up, you can fix it and make it still drinkable. Let's give it a smell. And I can get hints of the wood. This sour mash, I think I'm on like generation 12. It has it's definitely developed a butterscotch. Just a real hint of butterscotch in the smell and the flavor, but it doesn't smell too woody, and but you can definitely tell it's been oaked. So we're going to give it an initial filter here, and this won't be the final filter. I'll run it through coffee filters to get it really nice and clear, but we're going to get the wood out of it, and so we'll stop the infusion. Sorry to get my big fat fingers in the way, and let me cut you off for a second, and we'll proof it real quick. Okay, now we're all set up, and we'll proof it, which really boils down to adding water. It's that simple. Today I'm using some mineral water. Sometimes I just boil water to get the chlorine and other chemicals out of it. Let's try that right there. Well, shit. I broke the legs off of I keep breaking that, so I quit even buying new ones. It doesn't leak, so it works. Got a little stainless steel chopstick. We use that to stir it up. And let's pour it in here. Okay. Drop our hydrometer in. What did we come up with? As you can, I don't know if you can see or not. We are just at 100 proof. And the way you read this is the cuff or curb of where the liquor meets the edge. It does kind of, see how it goes up a little bit. So we're just right on 100 proof, which is exactly what we want. And I'll come back in a few after let this sit a little bit. I'm going to shake it up some, and then you can see it's a little bit cloudy. I spilled some, but that's already clearing up. It doesn't take long. When you mix the water with it takes a minute for it to blend together with the alcohol and not be cloudy. But if you use good water, that cloudiness goes away, and then it doesn't take long for it won't taste watered down, I should say. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, the filtering is pretty well complete, and I just wanted to show y'all my lunch. By the time I'm done with the video, it'll be cooled off. I got some pastrami with aged Swiss, mustard and pickles on it. Yum yum. Anyway, let's get back to the important stuff here. We are done filtering. Give that a little squeeze, get all the last of the yumminess out. Okay, I decided to do a honey maple, and that's pretty simple. You just add some honey in, see all that honey going to the bottom. And I probably should have made this more like 110 proof or something, because it's probably going to be around 90 proof when I get done adding all these sweets in. But you want more honey than maple. Maple's a pretty strong flavor, or this kind of syrup is. So there we got. There's that. Oops, I need to take some alcohol and clean that lid off, huh? Okay. Takes a minute, you just gotta shake it and mess with it. There, it seems like it's all shook up real well. Didn't get that lid on tight enough to start with. Let that kind of foam down, and I got a shot glass handy. Here, I got a little baby jar, that'll work. Let's see if I can. I'm just going to come back again. I'll need to let that foam settle, and then I'll have a shot glass and I'll be ready and clean up some of this mess. See you in a couple. Hey, we're back. I wonder how many times I've said that, how many times we did this, the video. It's kind of silly, huh? Because y'all don't know if we left or not unless I tell you. Or maybe there's some really good people that can figure out if something's spliced or not, or sometimes it shows. But anyway, now y'all seen how it went from 176 proof corn liquor out of the still to a honey maple bourbon, and let's give it a little smell and taste. I can just smell the corn liquor first, and definitely getting hints of the honey and maple. Let's give it a little taste. Oh my god. That is so yummy. Wow. Usually I like to let it sit about a week, but that stuff would be drinkable right this second. You first get the honey and then the maple, and then that follows up with a little bit of bourbon. That's just, it's really good. With that, I'm gonna bounce, and everyone have a good day. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.